in our ITC course, our very first task don't even require students to do anything, to answer a question. They just have to do a simple task that shouldn't take more than 30 minutes maximum to complete. And what I've seen from the feedback forms that students have to submit with the task is almost every single one of them reports that they procrastinated. And I can see that because they enter the course and they take weeks to do this first task. And almost all of them says they have a mental block, they have self-doubt, so they just can't get themselves to do the simple task where they can't even get it wrong because we don't require them to answer a question. So it is a task that they have to do on an ITC paper, but there's no answering of a question. So why is this, Yvonne, and what do we do about that?
This is classic procrastination. And, let's be honest, all of us as humans are guilty of this. So like none of us can pretend that this is not a problem we have, right? But why are we procrastinating when it is such an important goal? Like students want this more than ever. They've gone through such pain to get here. This is like the biggest thing in their life. So why can't they get started? And it's a horrible cycle of beating myself up because I didn't do what I intended to do, but I don't want to do it, but I can't. And so it's a really vicious, horrible cycle. But the reality is that it boils down to fear of performance. Like if I do this thing and I fail at it and I can't do it, it's going to prove that I don't know what I'm doing. I can't do it. I'm never going to be able to do it. And I'm never going to be able to qualify. And it means all these things. And we've built this idea up that everything we do, if we don't get it right straight away, right now, then it means I'll never be able to get it right. And this is a very binary way of thinking, which we cover in the study coaching section up front in the course, which is perfectionists and a fixed mindset. We have this idea that if we hear something, and especially because these students are writing ITC, it's like I should be able to do this by now. So we go into this with this idea of I should be able to do this by now. I should know this now. There's not a lot of time between now and the exam, whatever that is. And so therefore I have to be able to do this. And if I can't do it right now, I'll never be able to do it. And so that's why we don't want to get started, because we don't want to prove that to ourselves, because we're so terrified that that's the position that we're going to be sitting in, and it feels so horrible. So we avoid that at all costs, to the point where we sabotage our own studies, okay? As opposed to the approach of saying, when you are working towards a goal, there is the law of marginal gains, which is I start off at a point of I don't know what I'm doing. And every day that I work on it, I increase that by 1%. But we don't value 1% because we keep thinking, but if on 1% is not enough to pass the exam, 1% is not exact. No, it's not. Absolutely not. But that only applies if you start the day before the exam. If you start, 2 months, a month before the exam, even, and you're working on 1% and you improve by 1% every day, that's going to add up. And we as perfectionists, we're not consciously aware of the impact of cumulative results. And when we speak about it, Francis, we talk about it, and the example that I use for students is like, if your goal is to run a marathon, you're not going to sit on your couch until the day that you feel today's the day I can run a marathon. And if I can't run a marathon today, then I'm never going to be able to run a marathon. It's all a waste of time, and I'm not going to be able to do it. That's not how it works, right? You have to get up off the couch and go, today I'm going to start working towards being able to run a marathon, and today I'm going to suck at it. Today I'm going to run like 500 meters, my lungs are going to be on fire, my legs are going to hate me, and I'm going to wonder like, what on earth made me think I could do this? And then what do you do tomorrow? You wake up and you run just a little bit further and just a little bit further and just a little bit further until eventually you're able to run a marathon. So this is the thinking we need students to come into their studying with, is when you start, it's not about what you can do today, because you won't be able to do it today. That is okay. But
that's why enroll for a course.
Exactly. This is why, for me, this is why we built this course. One, the study coaching stuff up front is to help you understand why you struggle with this stuff so much, because it gets in the way of your studying. Your procrastination is going to make you fail if you don't deal with it. It's not your FNAC that's going to make you fail. It's your procrastination that's going to make you fail if you don't deal with it. So the way that our course is designed is to like push you in the water because you're not jumping in. You know, you're not jumping in. You want someone to push you in the water because you're so scared to jump in, because you're going to drown, because it's so cold, because you don't know what you're doing, because. But you can't jump in the water a week before the exam. Yeah. So, you know, for our course, we're kind of saying like, look, guys, we're going to push you in. We're going to be there. We're going to support you. We're going to help you. We're going to be your lifeguard. You know, we're going to throw you a safety jacket, and we're going to throw you like whatever you need, and we're going to help you swim. But until you jump in the water, you're never going to learn to swim.
It's so amazing, actually, if you think about it, what you're saying now, students are scared that they can't do it. Now they don't do our first task.
Yeah.
Now, if you are scared of failing, you've enrolled for this course in order to get yourself to pass the ITC that's a couple of weeks or months away, and you're scared of doing this first task because you're going to fail this task. But the alternative is to procrastinate and not do anything until the ITC, and then you fail the ITC. So
and
it's like failing
your
training run, your first training run of 500 meters, and you're out of breath. There's no you don't lose anything. But if you run the marathon without training, then
yeah, 100%. And I think it's important to recognize that this stuff is purely logical. Students are going to be sitting here nodding their head going, yeah, Yvonne, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Francois, that makes a lot of sense. And yet you are still going to struggle when you sit down at that, because when you sit down at that desk, it is you and your brain and your fear. And if I was standing behind you at the time, I'd be pushing you and I'd be going, go and do this, go and do this. And you would do it because you have someone else pushing you and someone else feeding you logic. But when it's you and your brain at your desk at late at night on your own, your fears and your procrastination will win unless you understand why you're struggling with that procrastination, where the fears come from, and how to deal with it, which is what
I think the nice thing about a course like this is you need to understand that you're not alone. Every single student feels exactly the same way, and every single student, even the diligent ones, does the same thing. They'll do a task and they'll leave it for 2 weeks. They just can't get themselves, and we'll chase them and they'll do another one. So the nice thing is that is exactly what we are here for, is in order to get you to, it's like a personal trainer to get yourself out there on the track and just to do it.
And I think it's, I don't care how you perform while you're busy studying, because we're working on the skill, and every day it's another 1%, and every day
we don't judge. We don't judge if someone hands in some.
What I do judge is when you just refuse to do anything at all. That's worth judging. Like, if you're not prepared to say, I'm going to give it my all, and I'm going to give this a try, that is bravery. Bravery is what you do in spite of how crap you feel about it. Bravery is not the ability to do stuff when you feel super confident. Bravery is what you do when you're terrified. And if you are prepared to say, Yvonne, I'm scared, Francois, I'm terrified, but I'm going to trust you. Don't sign up for this course if you don't trust us. I'm going to trust you, and I'm going to do this. That is brave, and I will do anything for you. And Francois will do anything for you, because you're prepared to put yourself out there and go, I know that I suck. I know that I'm terrified, but I'm prepared to do this because I trust you and I want this. And I want it enough to overcome my fears and to actually just submit this task. That's it. That's all I ask you to do. And then we'll slowly work on your confidence, and we'll work on your skills, and we'll help you build that. But I can't do anything for you if you're not prepared to face that fear and go, I'm going to submit this thing even though it's complete crap. I know that it's crap. You know that it's crap. We all know that it's crap. It's fine. That's what we're here to fix.
Cool. Well, if you want to find out more about our ITC exam course, please contact us at the email address below, and we'd love to hear from you. And if you have any questions, please don't be scared to ask.